Let us weigh the gain and loss in wagering that God is. Let us estimate these two chances. If you gain all. If you lose nothing.
This argument is known as Pascal's wager, one of my favorite apologist arguments. Theists will think this is an end-all appeal. What they don't get is how easy it is to refute. Keep in mind we're refuting this argument as Pascal offered it, that you should worship the Christian God. Check my sources if you'd like to see a little more context to this quotation. Alright, let's get this started. Here are some of my reasons that Pascal's wager is an illogical, inexcusable, garbage excuse for an argument.
Number 1. There's more than one God.
Pascal's wager isn't unique. It's been brought up by philosophers and theologians throughout the ages, each with their specific God and their specific version of their God in mind. This only brings to light some of the issues with his wager. He only takes into account his God when figuring out the odds. What if I were to assert that the one true God only lets atheists into heaven? With the God of my manufacture, with just as much proof, I can cut your odds of getting into heaven down drastically. There are thousands of versions of thousands of gods through the ages that one could choose to worship, on top of the ones you can just make up on the spot, all with equal evidence that their way is the way to heaven. Christianity alone provides 38,000 variations on the Christian God in the form of their many denominations. Pascal presented a false dichotomy, presenting only two choices when there are more than just those options. If we have to play that game, you might actually be better off betting your eternity on being an atheist. Considering the many countless gods that consider it irreconcilable to worship another god, you commit that sin and you've left yourself burning for eternity, or whatever that hypothetical god has conjured up for you as an unreasonable everlasting torture. To bet on a religion is betting your one finite life on a literally infinite number of possible, although unlikely, scenarios for endless misery. Number 2. You are losing something. Pascal makes the unfair assumption that following Christianity doesn't cost you anything. Following Christianity for the sake of a possibly and most likely false afterlife causes you to do things and give up things you wouldn't otherwise. First off, for those who are churchgoers and often give a certain amount of money to the church, traditionally this is called the tithe and is supposed to be 10%. In America, where religion is a very widespread social problem, people give on average 2.56% of their yearly income to the church. The sad part is that the average American only gives 1.8% of their yearly income to charity. Imagine how much good all of those wasted church dollars could do. Other than financial waste, you also stand to waste your life dedicating time that you could use to actually live your life. By praying, contemplating what your God wants for you, and attending church services, you're wasting your life. It would personally bother me if I were living a lie simply to play the odds on infinity. There are lots of things you can't do as a Christian that you otherwise could do. Here's a list of a couple things. Eating shellfish, getting round haircuts, playing football, using condoms and pulling out, getting tattoos, wearing gold, getting divorced, and blood transfusions, just to name a few. So I suppose to sum it up, you do actually stand to lose a lot if you place your bet on a Christian God, or any god for that matter.
Number 3. Just because it's either true or it isn't, doesn't give it a 50% chance of being correct.
A common misconception when people are trying to figure out the odds of something happening is that they look at the issue in too shallow of a manner. When people play a game of baseball, a game heavy in statistical analysis, a person in passing may think that one of two teams is going to win, so each team has a 50% chance of winning. That's so wrong. You have to consider the statistics behind it. There's lots of data available for consideration in calculating the odds of the winner, and most likely the odds are much different than 50-50. We really don't have any real statistics on the odds of a theistic Christian God existing. However, in the words of Christopher Hitchens, what can be asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence. Just because a claim is asserted does not mean it has the same authority as other more supported claims. Consider the following. I have a plate of spaghetti. It's always with me. It sits on my left shoulder. Where is it? Oh, it's invisible. Well, why can't I touch it? It's immaterial. It exists in a place greater than us. Then what's the point? Well, it gives me guidance, tells me what's right and wrong. Why should I believe you? Because if you believe hard enough, you may one day taste the noodles. I don't think the plate of spaghetti exists. You can't prove it doesn't. Does this sound familiar? It's crazy to believe him. The man himself is probably crazy for even thinking it. But for some reason, in groups, people don't think so. But you wouldn't want to believe that this man has this plate of spaghetti on his shoulder just in case, would you? Number 4. An omniscient God would know you're insincere. Pascal's wager makes a couple of ridiculous assumptions. First, that belief is a choice, not a result. And second, that an omniscient God would not be able to tell whether or not you're putting on a show. This is totally non sequitur. Regarding the idea of belief being a choice, I personally could not believe regardless of how much I told myself I should. I can't speak for others on this issue, however, you shouldn't underestimate the mental gymnastics minds do in order to keep believing. Pascal actually addresses this very question of belief being a choice later in the same letter where he first asserts his wager. Follow the way by which they began, by acting as if they believed, taking the holy water, having masses said, etc. Even this will naturally make you believe and deaden your acuteness. He's basically telling you to go through the motions until your brain shuts off and you can believe. I personally would not want to do this, however, that doesn't prove my point. Maybe this will. I dare you to go out right now and force yourself to believe in leprechauns. I have a feeling you won't be successful. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. If you want me to cover anything in particular, just let me know in the comments, message, or email, all three if it's really important.